Hello and welcome to your 13th tutorial on how to create an FPS game. So today we're just gonna finish up what we started in the previous tutorial, which was the recall. Now what's happening right now is that our gun is firing and the bullets are spreading just like in real life, but the gun's not really moving, so it doesn't really look realistic. Plus we said we want to make it less static, so we'll get it to move like back and forth as if it's bouncing from the recall by first going to the player cam script. Now in here we need to make a new variable which will be accessed by the player gun script. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to do this in the tutorial that we programmed the AI gun, but you need to set time back to fire rate. Otherwise it will just do a countdown and then it will fire every frame. So yeah, I'm sorry, my bad, but just remember to fix that if you hadn't already figured it out. And now let's make this variable. Public var z add. Because to move it, we need to move it back and forth, we need to move it on the forward axis, which is the Z axis. So we'll just call it Z add. And make sure you typecast this to float. Either put float or make 0.0 or whatever. And make sure it's zeroed out and it's a float. Otherwise it will not work. Well, it will, but it won't be dynamic and it will not be good. So first of all, we have to access this component. Now instead of referencing our camera in the gun script to access it, we can use the fact that the gun is a child of the camera, and so we can simply call the gun's parent, which is a camera. And so to do that, go to a player gun script and type in here transform dot parent, and that's the parent, the camera. And now we want to get the pcam component, which has the variable we want to change on it. And the variable we want is z add. And now here we want to set it to how much it will bounce back. So I'm gonna make it dynamic. Well, not really dynamic, but I'm gonna set it according to the recall. So the more power the gun has, the further it blows back. So I'll just set it to recall divided by 10. Because setting it to plain recall will make it a lot of bounce, and we don't want that. It will go way back out of the game, and we don't want that because it's a lot on the Z axis. So we want to set to recall divided by 10, and you can also make your own calculation with the spread and the recall, or just set it to a number that you like. But that's just my calculation. You can set it to whatever you want. And now we want to do else. So if we're not firing, then set the Z add back to 0. And now because of this step, that's why I told you to make it a float, because otherwise if it returns a decimal value, then it will just be rounded up and you'll have very undynamic and bad recall. So make sure it's a float, very important. And now just in case we missed it, or I don't know, there's some kind of skip, we also want to zero it out once the fire button's let go, or no more ammo. So yeah, remember to put it in a block, because we have more than one line, and add that line of code. And now here we want to make this Z variable count. So we go to the line where we set the Z position, and then we simply might subtract the Z add variable. Now this, what this changes, you could make this either a negative or a positive sign, plus or minus it. But what it does is if the variable is like, if you minus the variable, then the gun will go back and forth. But if you add the variable, it will go front and back, front and back. So you can adjust that to your liking, but I like it back and forth because I think that's the most realistic, because gun doesn't fly forward, it blows back. So you can put a plus there, but I'll just put a negative. And now we want to test that out. So yeah, enter the game end. Whoa, that's way too much recoil. And I have my recoil set to 40, and I just want to set that back to 5. Yeah, that'd probably be good. And there you have it, folks. I successfully made recoil. And notice how it's adjusted to the amount of spread the gun has. See if I make it like 20. A lot more spread, a lot more recoil, a lot more power to the gun. Now this is just my calculation, so it's pretty limited to amount of damage. But you can calculate it however you want, or you can set all guns to be like the same amount of recoil. You can do it however you want. I just showed you the way. So yeah, but one more thing we want to do is because we have that factor that big guns blow back and forth slower than small guns. So if you have a small gun with a high fire rate, want it to get back into its position much faster, much quicker. So what we do is in the delay, we set Z add. Make sure it's only in the delay of the new position Z, otherwise it will fuck up your things. And yeah, well, let's see how that affects it. Yeah, that's a bit too fast. How about we make it Z add divided by 10. Yeah, it's still a bit fast. I think we'll just set this back to delay. So yeah, that's pretty much all of it. You can play around with it. You can also make recoil for the rotation, the Y rotation, whatever you want to do. I showed you this. Now if you want to extend it forward, that's up to you. So that's all, and bye bye.